Hello, my name is Barbara Frechette, and this is my final project for EDUC 560, Issues in Contemporary Education. For Northwest Christian University, my topic today is test anxiety. During the lecture today, we'll define what test anxiety is, the symptoms of test anxiety, both physiologically and psychologically, ways a student can manage test anxiety, and how educators can help their students with test anxiety. So what is test anxiety? Well, test anxiety is a type of performance anxiety. It's that jittery feeling you get in your stomach when you're going for an interview, or you're going for a role in a play, or you're going on that first date. What test anxiety is not, it's not the same as being a poor tester. They are two separate items. What does test anxiety look like? Well, physiologically, you're going to get a faster heart rate and a jittery feeling. You're going to feel like you've had one too many Starbucks. You're going to have that fast, shallow breathing like you're going to hyperventilate. Dry mouth and sweaty palms, no matter how many times you rub your palms on your pant legs, they are never going to get rid of that sweat. And you might have some tummy troubles. You might have trouble eating, you might feel sick to your stomach, or have other issues in your GI tract. Psychologically, what it's going to look like is drawing a blank on a question or freezing. It's going to be like you know it, but it sounds like Greek. It looks like Greek, and you have no idea what Greek is. Or zoning out. You're staring at a question and staring at a question and staring at a question. So what causes test anxiety? Well, test anxiety causes stress on a body. And when a body's stressed, it releases adrenaline. That release of adrenaline causes a fight or flight reaction. So basically, it's just your body reacting to the stress. Another thing is you're focusing on bad things and not keeping it positive. Oh, I'm not smart enough. I'll never get this. I don't know the information. Those are bad things. Don't focus on those. Also, fear of failure or disappointing yourself or others. You may be the only person in your family that's ever gone to college, and you don't want to fail because you don't want to disappoint them. That's a huge weight to put on your shoulders. Get through one class at a time. You can do it. Distortion of the importance of the exam. In college, we give a lot of tests. This is just one piece of the pie, so don't make it out to be the whole pie. So what can you do before a test? Well, I'm going to sound like your mom here, but you need to ensure that you get enough sleep. You need to eat a balanced meal before the test. My husband used to love to go get Chinese food and carb up before a test. Study in small sessions. Study for an hour, then take a break. Study for another hour and take a break. Keep it small. This is not a time for an all-nighter. Think positively and surround yourself with positive people. If you have that one friend that's always talking negative, the night before a test is not the day to be hanging out with them. Stay focused. Again, this is not the day to go out and party with your friends. You need to focus on the task at hand. Also, talk to your instructor. They may have some tips and some tricks to teach you on how to get over your anxiety and how to better take a test. And most of all, expect to have anxiety. If you're ticklish and someone tells you they're going to touch you, you're less likely to jump and giggle. Same thing with anxiety. What are you going to do during a test? Well, read the test before you start taking it. Read the directions. Look over the test. I know if I'm better at matching, I'm going to start with my matching questions first and then move on to multiple choice. Watch your time. Don't spend so much time on one test question that you have to rush at the end. Change positions in your seat during the test. This is why you should talk to your instructor. If they see you moving, they might think you're cheating, but if they know why you're moving, then they're more likely to help you out. If it's a multiple choice test, cover the answers and pick the one that's closest to your answer. You know it, and with all those other distractors there, it throws you off. If you draw a blank, mark that question and move on. Come back to it when you're done, when you've got more time. Also, don't panic when you see people starting to turn the test in before you. This isn't a race, it's a marathon. You'll get to the finish line when you get to the finish line. Avoid distractions. If you're the type of person that gets easily distracted, sitting by the back door is not the place for you. Expect mistakes will be made. No one's perfect. You shouldn't put that pressure on yourself. Review your test before you turn it in. I had a student in Vegas that never reviewed his test, And a couple of times he turned in a test and he missed a whole entire page. One time it cost him 50 points. That's huge. So review your test. But above all, breathe and just keep breathing. Nice deep breaths. You'll get through this. What do you do after a test? Well, go reward yourself for a job well done. You made it through the test. You didn't throw up. You didn't pass out. You finished the test. Reward yourself. Don't obsess about what your score is. It is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it now. You can just deal with it when it happens. Go out and do something fun. Either exercise, go to a movie, go get some coffee with a friend, or go get something to eat because you probably didn't eat before the test. Remember, no one's perfect and neither are you. No one's expecting you to get 100%. All we're expecting is you do the best that you possibly can do. And if the weather's nice, go soak up some sun. We live in the Pacific Northwest. Sunny days are few and far between, so we got to enjoy them while we can. What can I do as your teacher? Well, I can teach my students how to take a test. I can show them how to avoid the distractors, how to discount the questions that are the answers that don't exist, that don't belong there. I can show you the different tricks of the trade. Also, I can give review sessions prior to the test. Now, I do this now for my students, but I tell them they have to come prepared with questions. I'm not going to re-lecture the class. I also allow for plenty of questions during class. I always stop. Any comments, questions, concerns? We all good? If I don't hear anything, I'm assuming we're all good and I'll move forward. Allow for plenty of time to take the test. Usually about a minute a question. So if it's a 60 question test, 60 minutes I got to allow for. And allow your students to stretch during the test. At some times when I see them, they're all stretched, all hunched over their desk, I'll tell everybody, put your pencils down, turn your test over, get up and stretch. It breaks it up. It gets them flowing, gets the blood flowing, gets them moving again. Also, I can allow for my students to write on the test. I change my test every term, so having them write on it is no big deal. I can also let them have a blank piece of paper to write their ideas on. Sometimes before they start the test, if they just write down everything they're thinking, it helps them to focus on the test more. Also, I keep distractions to a minimum. I ask students if they're going to leave to make sure that they take everything with them because they're not coming back in until the last person's done with the test. I also allow my students to ask questions, not, hey, what's the answer to this, but, hey, can you clarify this question for me? Sometimes the wording's just weird and you got to clarify it. I also try to grade my test within 24 hours. It stops the students from worrying and it helps them with their other classes. And then I go over the questions with the students after everyone's taken it so that they know what they did wrong. What a teacher shouldn't do after the test is try not to lecture after the test. I know sometimes with time being tough, it's hard, but try not to. They're not going to get anything out of it. After grading the test, go over the questions to ensure it's a good question. If over half of my students miss it, I'm looking at that question to make sure it's a good question. Also, making sure maybe they just didn't get the concept. Use the results to improve future classes. If you tried something new and you test on it and it doesn't go over well, tweak it. Give the students an opportunity to review their test after class. My students know that they can come anytime during open office hours, grab their test, and we'll sit down and go one-on-one with it. So what should a student do if it doesn't work? Well, realize that this stuff all takes time to work. It takes 3 weeks to form a habit. It takes longer to break a bad one. So try different techniques. See what works best for you. If nothing seems to be working, seek out a professional. You might need some meditation or you might need some medication. Also, don't panic or worry. It is what it is. We'll get it through. Talk with your instructor and stay calm, because the worst thing will happen is if you worry, you start panicky and you're not going to do well. So, to recap, test anxiety is real. You need to learn techniques to keep it in control. Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. Do be prepared. Do take care of yourself. Do seek out help and learn what works best for you. So this is the end. Happy testing, and I'll see you all on the other side.